Hey everyone, welcome to Zeitgeist Zealots. I'm Forrest.
I'm Nature.
And now I'm Riley.
And today we're going to go over the second half of the Sandman Season 1.
Are you talking about the best new original show that Netflix has put out this year? I think we are. That obviously.
Well, until One Piece comes out, probably not.
Is that a Netflix original?
It's going to be a Netflix original. It's going to be the adaptation of the anime that I've never seen, but it has like 1,000 episodes, so I probably will never see it.
Yes. Do you think you think that's going to be better? Well, you're not super impressed with this, whereas I was completely blown away, and maybe that's because the bar was so low for me. Like, I know, like, you love the source material, I love the comics, right? I differentiate the comics and the source material because I use the same verb, love for both, but you definitely have much more like admiration for the source material than I do.
I mean, I read it like 15 years ago, so I mean, it's like, I'm surprised I remembered so much from.
Yeah, I am too. 15 years, it sounds like you read it.
And I'm pretty sure I borrowed every trade from Tip anyway. Hopefully we'll get on later, because he is like the Sandman aficionado. He's like what Matt is to Dune on this podcast.
Oh, Mr. Sandman, bring me a tip. Let him review all of this shit.
And he's the one who hasn't watched it yet.
Yeah, well, you know.
I would say
he watched 3 episodes. He said.
Yeah, I would say this is Alanis Morissette ironic, because I would go so far to say this is the first thing on Netflix this year, 2022, that I would rewatch and that I plan on rewatching. I'm going to drag my wife through this because I think she'll love it. I think she's really going to enjoy this TV show.
I'd say it's worth it to watch.
But like you can't rewatch Stranger Things. That's 8-9 movies. Like Stranger Things, that's like rewatching like the fucking Star Wars, like all 9 Star Wars movies. Like that is a journey, that's a voyage that's really hard to do. But this, you can rewatch the shit out of this.
I'm already rewatching Better Call Saul on Netflix, so I doubt I'll be rewatching Sandman.
That's what I'm watching.
Could you finish Sandman? That would be
season 2 so far.
I know I've gone through like an entire season of Better Call Saul, but I can't finish like 2.5 episodes of Sandman. I'm really excited to talk about, because there was my favorite episode of the Sandman was episode 6. I think was that y'all's favorite too? Because that was the
that
A Death in the Family? Or no, that's
meeting every 100 years.
Yeah, that's where Hob Gadling, I think his name was. Yeah,
that was one.
That's one of my favorite comics, and I think my favorite episode from the bunch.
It was an adaptation of 2 issues of the comic. The one with Death, his sister, and the other one with Hob Gadling. It was like a one-shot story. But it sort of ties
How
in
good
with
was Death? Let's talk about Death first before we get into this amazing 100-year per check-in venture. What did you guys think about Death? I loved it. I thought it was all.
It was very faithful.
Yeah, very faithful. And then on top of that, I just love I love her character arc. Like, even though we don't get to see it, right? We do get to hear about it. How like she was bitter, she was tired of it, and then she like connected with people. And I think like that's really important for Dream, right? AKA Morbius, because like he is gonna have a better connection with humanity and doing his job if he connects with the humans, as opposed to being this stoic, ancient creature who doesn't interact, right? Like if he's gonna get more out of his job with the more dreams he interacts with, and I really enjoyed that aspect of Death. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, some people were mad that she didn't look like Amy Lee from Evanescence like in the comic, but as we saw in the episode where he goes to hell, the Endless can change their race, because he was like talking to that the black chick in hell, like what he looked like to her was he was a black dude too, so like, and that was the comic too. So the Endless
in the comics,
can change their race.
He met her 10,000 years ago, so definitely would be weird if he was a white guy on the plane.
That's true. Before there were any white people in the first place, yeah.
I think though, to avoid controversy or any kind of like recasting for a scene or some kind of weird like rampant Twitter 2023 rampage of some kind of faux blackface, I think they're just going to keep the same actor. I think he's going to look the same way the whole time.
This show is so like pro-left though. I'd be amazed if anyone like complained that that they did like a pseudo, blackface with him,
I don't think anyone can get away with blackface, but they could replace him with an actor.
Well, that's what they did. They used different. That wasn't him in blackface. In Mage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so blackface. No, I don't think they're gonna get that actor and put him in actual blackface, right? But like to have like this actor just be black for like a single scene, like I wonder if even that is too edgy for this crazy cancel culture society that we fucking live in right now.
Yeah. So
look who just popped in here.
But anyway, yeah. So like the whole the thing like the race bending thing with death.
Like a
didn't bother me.
Didn't matter. Yeah, she looks like Evanescence. She doesn't look like Evanescence, right? Sean Bean didn't end up playing who he was supposed to play in The Boys, but he played the dad, right? Like Cole Goodenough. Is that Sean?
Wait,
Bean?
you mean Simon Pegg?
Yeah, that guy. Sean Bean. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones. Yeah, Simon Pegg.
How awesome would it be to have Sean Bean in season 4 of The Boys as
Can he be Tech Knight? Can we start this Twitter
and then he dies?
Campaign? Of course he's gonna die, but he's gonna die. Spoiler alert! He's gonna die fucking the moon. I would love nothing more to see that. Or who plays the Tick? Who is Elaine's boyfriend on Seinfeld? Yeah, that guy. He would also be a phenomenal Tech Knight.
I think they're probably because I think the showrunner, because he used to do Supernatural, he wants to get Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Jared Plecki, is that how it's pronounced, on the show. Plecki. But yeah, anyway, I think we've discussed that.
Tip, how are you doing? Just to fill you in and all the late listeners. I'm kidding. This is a podcast. There's no late listeners. You just start at the beginning. This is radio. We're talking about The Boys. No, we're not talking about The Boys. We just got finished talking about The Boys. Alluding to him. We're talking about I'm brain farting here. Sandman, thank you so much. I had to switch entire platforms, which is difficult sometimes. There's so much fucking content out there, and 90% of it's absolute garbage. We're talking about the other 10% that's not right now, Tip, and that's Sandman, which word on the street is was one of your favorite comics growing up.
Yeah, it was an excellent series. I like the poetic element.
Phenomenal series.
It was a very good writer, and I guess they got the idea to do a graphic novel. It's kind of crazy, but it worked out pretty well.
So you haven't, because you're a very busy man, haven't been able to finish the series yet, but from the first 3 episodes that you saw, how did you feel about the source material? And I know they didn't do the Eternal Dream, which I think we talked about in the last podcast, which is like a really cool element of the book that Dream does to his captures. Broderick Burgess, not Broderick, but the Burgess.
No, he did.
Alex.
He did Eternal Dream.
Alex, thank you. Not in the movie though. In the comics he did, but in the TV show.
I think he did in the TV show as well.
In the TV show, I could be wrong.
Because he's like in the bed, just like squirming, and like his boyfriend's like, Alex, over and over.
Oh, okay. So I would have liked to have seen more. I would have liked to have seen him woken up like 10 times, like not 10. 10's excessive, but like maybe 5, maybe 6 times, like of Alex waking up from this nightmare. And for those who haven't read the book, the comics, I highly recommend them. They're absolutely fantastic. But this Eternal Dream, right? Basically, what happens is it's a nightmare. You have a nightmare, and then you wake up from that nightmare, but you didn't actually wake up. You're still dreaming. So you wake up from this nightmare, and you're like, oh my God, that was a nightmare. And then another nightmare happens, and it scares the shit out of you. And then you wake up, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank you. That was just a nightmare. And then another scary thing happens, and then it's a nightmare, and this doesn't stop, dude. It's like one of the craziest psychological, like, torture ideas in comics. And it would have been cool to have seen on camera.
Well, what if you have, like...
Yeah, I think
that'd be crazy to think about.
But besides that, overall, I am incredibly satisfied with, from what I remember from the source material to the adaptation on Netflix. I'm very happy with so far.
Yeah, and you've only seen 3 episodes, Tip?
Yeah, I think they're following pretty close.
Am I wrong?
And
yeah,
it's Cinemagraphically, well done. There's a couple scenes where I'm like, a little awkward camera angle, maybe, but, nothing major, no deal. But it's a TV show. I mean, the movies are cut.
Too many Dutch tilts. You're like, there's no truth in this earth. They're not in the Netherlands. So.
Do you guys want to talk about Hobgadling? Let's talk about Hobgadling. One of the. So this amazing comic book series that we've been amping up, right? It won an unprecedented award. I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
Eisner.
Might have been. But it won awards for their comic book issues on like the Midsummer Night's Dream, right? But this is my favorite issue that I remember so far. And that's with Hobgadling. Do you guys want to break it down? He meets him in, what was it, 1389?
The 1300s, yeah.
The 14th century.
Because there is a little bit of difference between the comics and the Netflix show, but that's just because the difference between when the comics came out and when the Netflix show came out. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comics he meets him like every 100 years, but it's like the 70s or the 80s or whatever. And this was like the 2000s,
Well, in the comic he does meet in 1989 because that's when the comic was published, but in this show
so there
he
is
missed that meeting.
That difference.
But you got to remember, they were supposed to meet on every 100 years, so he wouldn't even be in that bar which was closed until 2089. But he just happened to be in the bar in 2022 for some reason.
Yeah, so that was my only problem. But you know what? I enjoyed the episode so fucking much, I just brushed over it. And you know what? That's what happens when you have good writing. When the rest of it's good writing, you get a little bit of slack with the major, right? If it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and it's 3 episodes of bad writing, and then you're gonna drop some shit on me, then I'm not gonna fucking tolerate it. But if you earn your keep, like Sandman, then I'm okay with this continuity error, Fucking No Way Home 5 years later, all right, I'm not gonna stop watching Marvel movies because they got the timeline wrong. Let's go.
Yeah, it was so he just sits in that bar,
but yes,
which isn't the original bar.
What I was gonna talk about, yeah.
Every day.
I wasn't the only one. Glad I wasn't
for 100 years.
Tinfoil hat.
Just hoping he's gonna show up.
This doesn't line up.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, right? Of how I think it's really cool. I also think if Dream is trying to connect with humanity, you should probably check in more than every 100 years. But I get it, right? The constraints of the comics. I thoroughly enjoyed it, right? And I really enjoyed how they didn't brush over him becoming a slave owner or a slave trader, and I really enjoyed how Dream called him out instantly on it, and then he was like, oh yeah, maybe this isn't a good trade to do. And I just think
how much does Dream pay his employees? I'm guessing Lucian
Dreams?
And Kane. Yeah. I'm wondering if they get paid for what they do.
It's super interesting to imagine being alive for 1,000 years, and seeing the difference and all that. But I think ethically, imagine trading slaves in the 1700s and then being alive today with today's moral standards. I don't know how you would live with yourself, right?
People might be
it was a different time. Standards were different. That was the quote-unquote normal, but that was fucking awful. And if you go back 300 years, that standard wasn't the normal, and that was fucking awful. There's a reason why people died, so we don't have to fucking live with our shame. I wish they would have addressed that more, but besides that, just a wonderful series of events. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. You talked about different standards, but 100 years from now, I think people will look down on people eating meat. Still,
are you kidding me? We are currently in this day and age crucifying people for tweets that were funny 10 years ago. Right? This was socially appropriate 10 years ago. Everyone was saying this 10 years ago, but you just blew up in 2020 or 2021 or 2022, and we found this tweet from 2010, and now you're fucking ruined. right? And like some people 100% deserve it, but like I've done a lot of growth and I've done a lot of change in the last 10 years. Right, I am not treating my old.
You probably should still go back and delete all those old tweets, though.
100%. I know, but I'm like tweeting like offensive, right?
Or just pray you never become famous. Well, thing is,
what are you talking about?
Famous enough
to
where people will stalk you on Twitter and like find some shady tweets you tweeted. Like I think they did that guy who played Elongated Man on The Flash. Like some creeper just like went back and looked at all his tweets going back like 10 years and like reposted it and said, "You want to explain yourself?"
I mean,
and it's like you must have like no life to go back and like do that sort of investigation. It's like,
and he's like, maybe I might have no life, but you have no job.
Maybe you should be like a homicide detective and like help catch killers if you're gonna do that much research. But
right,
yeah.
Like, God bless the amount of Adderall you were on to do this. Like, dude, how did your finger not fall off scrolling that far down? Right? Like, dude, I fucking I lose hope like after a year of scrolling through someone's shit. I'm like, oh, like I don't care. Well, whatever you said, 2018, 2019, I will never know. I will go off what you said in the last year.
Unless he hadn't tweeted in like 10 years, and like his very last tweet was the racist one.
That's a good point.
Like
there was a period of my Twitter life where like I created a Twitter account, instantly hated it, and then like Samsung was running a promotion, and it was like, create your best Samsung Note pun, and we'll give you a free cell phone. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. So if you're like scrolling through my fucking boring ass Twitter like history, like there's like a long like years of blankness, and then maybe 50 note puns in a row, and they're all terrible. they're all bad. And then
got a phone out of it.
And I didn't get shit out of it, but it turns out like no, they didn't pick my tweet, unfortunately. But it worked out in the end because that was the Note 8 or whatever when they all caught on fire and they were like blowing up in people's like Jeeps in their back pockets. So fuck that. So yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to the next episode.
Yeah, that was with Rose to the next episode.
Something with Rose. We're gonna walk over to Rose Walker, who was in the next episode, and this is like the start of the Dollhouse arc, and it introduces Desire,
Volume 2.
Rose, Despair, and a bunch of other characters, like the boarding house where everyone's cool except Ken.
Yeah,
Ken's an asshole, but everyone else is.
Barbie's got some things going on with her dreams, and that dog, what's it, Tim Bones or whatever. So like, keep an eye on them because that's important. It's important in the comics later on. If season 2 and so forth is as true to the source material as the rest of the shit is as season 1, then definitely keep an eye on them.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like, are they all just like, because this is like the show is based in 2022. And I think, like, in the actual comic, there was, like, an actual boarding house, but it's like an Airbnb in this show. They're all just staying.
Was it a boarding house? Like, the characters are the exact same.
Well, it's like they pay rent. They live there, like, all year. Or they live there, like, in perpetuity. But I think the show made it seem it was like they're just Airbnb-ing there. They're all just having, like, the same.
Yeah, the show felt like it was Airbnb. If I remember the comics, it felt more like permanent residence of, like, a bed and breakfast. If you call that,
it's a boarding house. They all pay rent to what's his face.
When you say boarding house, I think of like trouble.
Like Hal's the landlord, and they all pay rent. I think so. But like,
can I just point out for the second, like, watching this TV show, meeting these neighbors, right? It seems like these characters were written in 2021 and 2022, not in 1989.
Well,
right? Can I just say, like,
the two weird spider sisters definitely seem like they're out of a comic book.
Wait, are they sisters? I thought they dated. I thought they were.
Well, we don't know if they're sisters, lovers.
Okay, yeah.
Cousins, or just friends.
Comic book readers now. We know what's up.
Okay, but yeah, it's just what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's just it seems.
But yeah,
like you would think like this is a woke show, but like these characters were all granted. Granted, there wasn't a 5-minute cabaret scene in the comic, but we knew that he was a cross-dressing drag queen singer.
It was pick up the pace just a little bit. I get it. We're doing the dreams, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, it wasn't a dream. I think that actually happened, right? He was just happening to like perform. But like in the comics, like one panel.
Sorry, yes, I was thinking about when Rose Walker, the Vortex, was going through all the dreams. But you're right, the actual drag show itself. Yeah, well, that's just supporting. And like, look, I'm not casting judgment because this comic came out in 1989, right? And Airbnb is incredibly new, relatively speaking, right? But like when I go to an Airbnb, I don't want to fucking talk to the host, let alone go support them in their local adventure.
Oh yeah,
stand-up comedy or a drag show. Like, like don't get me wrong, I love drag shows. They're a lot of fun. But like that's just who I am. Like if I'm like on vacation, like I am a stranger. Like we don't talk. I sent you money. Like you don't make eye contact with me when I walk past you. I don't make eye contact with you, and like we just keep walking. And like I am staying in your house, and this is awkward, and we're just gonna ignore this completely.
That's why Verbo exists now, because you don't want to stay with strangers, but you don't want to pay for a hotel. Right. Basically. But yeah, it's like.
Feel free to sponsor us, Verbo, if you want to. That was a pretty good pitch right there.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, well, yeah, the whole show is funny. It's just great. So,
yeah. And hey, Verbo, you could probably find a great house like the Halls created. I'm just fucking fake pitching now.
Oh,
that was also, a very pretty house from their.
The episode ended with like, well, she's trying to find her brother, and like the social worker won't even let her see him because then he'll want to leave the foster family, which sucks.
Seems to be factually correct based on other sitcoms I've watched.
That like the foster system sucks.
Yeah, the foster system sucks, and there are like a lot of like legal things. I thought like the note was so good, like how she like tried to hide the note in like the foster worker or the social worker's bag. But then like the dad found the note. So like my question is, did that dad go rummaging through that social worker's purse? Like how that dad get close enough? That
crossed my mind too.
Or how that dad get close enough? And like, hey, again, the writing's good enough everywhere else is that I will let this slide. But
yeah, because they didn't show it happening. But
to call myself out, I think if Disney Plus did this, I might fucking be angry. I might be more angry about it, or maybe not. You know, like I was thinking about this, not the tangent, but like guys, it's so hard. Sometimes Star Wars is so stupid, and it's stupid, right? And then other times you have Obi-Wan Kenobi hiding a young Leia in a trench coat through an Imperial base to escape. And for me, it works so fucking well. There's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes Star Wars being bad is good, and sometimes Star Wars being bad is just terrible and heartbreaking.
I mean, you get like people like I think Defenders Obi-Wan would probably say like, well, it's no different than like when Luke and Han dressed as stormtroopers. Like that was a little far-fetched. Like, are you kidding me? I mean,
I think tall to be a stormtrooper, or small to be a stormtrooper.
I'll take the stormtrooper over the trench coat.
Yeah.
As someone who's been so critical of Star Wars lately, I fucking died laughing, and I loved every second of Obi-Wan fucking smuggling Leia with the trench coat through like 100 fucking people. I died. I loved every second of it, dude. I do not know why, but it was good.
Yeah. So I think the Rose episode ended like, well, we knew that Dream knows about the vortex, introduced desire, and despair. And despair was
so. Let's break this down for a little bit, because this is one of my favorite parts of like this storyline, right? And so the Endless aren't allowed to kill each other. They can't attack each other, right? That's just it's in their code, right? I don't know. Maybe it'll tear humanity apart. I'm not sure, but they're not allowed to attack each other. So
that was why they're battling.
That's why they're being all passive aggressive.
I was wondering why that was working.
Some Cold War bullshit. So like Desire hates Dream, right? Because they're not kind of opposite, but like as far as D words go, they're pretty opposites, right? Like if you desire something, you lust after something, whereas if you're dreaming about something, you're going after it, right? Or blah blah whatever. So the Endless can't harm each other. However, during this, what was it called for us? The great sleepiness, the sleepy silence.
Encephalitis.
Yeah, that one. So when Dream gets captured and everyone goes into the sleepy sickness. Thank you, Forrest. When a bunch of people get the sleepy sickness, this person, Rose Kincaid, right? It's one of my favorite names besides like Cade Yeager.
Unity Kincaid.
Unity Kincaid. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking about Cade Yeager from fucking GD Transformers. It's the stupidest name fucking ever. Unity Kincaid. I love that fucking name. Anyway, she gets the sleepy sickness. She goes to sleep. She's in a coma for like 70, 80 years or whatever. Another thing that didn't make sense with 100 years, but anyway, it's not important.
Yep.
So Desire has non-consensual sex with her, and she gets pregnant, has the kid, which is a woman. She gives birth, and that is Rose, and her child is Rose Walker. So Unity Kincaid was supposed to be this vortex, but because she went to the sleepy sickness, she wasn't dreaming, so she wasn't able to be the vortex. So Desire took advantage of this opportunity, right, to create an offspring that would now be a part of the Endless. So Dream, who is in charge of the dreaming realm, right, and vortexes are bad for dreams. So the dreaming realm, the king of the dreaming realm, Morpheus, has to kill the vortex. But Desire, right, if you're sticking with me, Desire made the vortex part of the Endless in hopes that when the dream kills the vortex, the dream is not killing a member of a family of the Endless, and so then he'll get cast out.
That is different.
So this is one of my favorite parts. Like this is like the whole storyline. You're thinking of like, it's Corinthian is the bad guy, right? This guy with teeth for eyes is like the bad guy, and he is the bad guy. Don't get me wrong, right? But like, there's this devilish bitch in the background called Desire, who is probably fucking with everything from the very beginning, right? To the point where like I was wondering, like, where did Roderick Burgess get that spell to capture death, right? And then how did he accidentally capture Dream?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if someone gave him that spell but changed one word for another word, right? That word being death for Dream. So I wonder if Desire like planned this the whole time, because we found out like for a while I was thinking it was Corinthian, right? But as you go on and as you read, you find out it's not Corinthian. So I wonder if maybe this is something that's never addressed, or maybe they address it and I just don't remember it. But that's my.
Well, yeah, I think like Desire is like the main villain throughout the series, for the most part. I never finished the Kindly ones.
Is it?
But...
is it? Or because like, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we were left with quite the cliffhanger with Lucifer having a plan for Dream that God will not like.
Well, I think like the series in its entirety. I mean, Lucifer does come back.
Yeah.
But like
Desire's a real bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. So I mean, I think eventually, how was the serial killer convention episode? Was that fun?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought they did a really good job. It was, I would say, very faithful to the source material. However, it was clever and cunning in its cuts, right? And try to say that 5 times fast, right? So like in the source material, they have an additional character, and they just merged 2 characters together, and I really enjoyed that a lot more. And then in like the Corinthian, so like in the source material, this other character discovers that this guy's not who he says he is, and then he goes and tells Corinthian. But in the TV show, it's the Corinthian who just gets told that and finds out himself, right? Whether that's budgetary cuts or just better writing, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Well,
post-production.
As far-fetched as it is, a bunch of serial killers getting together without the police finding out.
Yeah.
Probably
so, like,
more.
And
well, they claim to be collectors, right?
In the source material, I got the feeling like the hotel owner was in on it, whereas in there, like, Rose Walker already had like a reservation. I think she might have had a reservation here too, but she doesn't find out. Like, there's nothing like. It's better writing, I would say, and like maybe Maybe I'll get crucified online for saying that. Fucking tweet at me at Zealot podcast on Twitter if you disagree with that. But like, I actually enjoyed the serial convention writing more, and I thought it was more believable, and it was better pacing in the TV show than it was in the original comics. And like, you know, Neil Gaiman had fucking 30 years to think about how to better write this scene or whatever. So
he's probably been to a lot more conventions too. So you know,
yeah.
I just know like in the comic there were like panels for like female serial killers and you know, the best way to hide a body.
It hit all the high notes, right? Like, so it's making fun of Comic-Con. Basically, it's a serial killer Comic-Con, and like they have like special panels, and it's beautiful. Like it's very well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the writing, and I enjoyed the reveal of Fiddler's Green, which, like, you know, as soon as he saved Rose Walker in that alleyway, I was like, is that the last guy that we conveniently stopped talking about that we're looking for? And it was. And who's also not a guy, but a giant field of grass.
And you also got to remember that I think in the episode 8, which didn't finish, but I think like Galt is the dream who has her brother captive, and she's like a dream she's a nightmare who wished she was a dream or something like that, right?
Amazing writing again.
Yeah.
A nightmare, an entity, right? Who has been torturing people via nightmares for thousands of years and is tired of it and just wants to bring some joy and love into the world. And so she's, you know, quote unquote, kind of like kidnapped this kid, but not really, you know, it's Jed. He's been kidnapped by those shitty ass foster parents, basically, and then locked in that basement, right? But his escape is
a nice dream every day.
His escape is the dream world, and he gets to be a superhero. It's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful. This is such good fucking writing, dude. The show, and it's based on the source material, but it's like the adaptations, right? Because the Galt wasn't in charge of this in the source material, and
it was like two other nightmares. Yeah. I don't think they were as benevolent. I don't think they were as benevolent as the one. Yeah,
exactly. No, like, dude, just the writing, the improvements are so fucking good. Like, I thoroughly enjoy the character arcs in this fucking TV show. Like, looking at like Hawkeye, right, or Loki, female Loki, or fucking Wanda Vision, right? And like how like Wanda's entire character arc got decimated in like the first half hour of Doctor Strange and whatever, dude. Just like character arcs fucking like being good and fucking mattering. Like, this is storytelling, right? And it's damn good storytelling, and I missed it. And I can't believe it's coming from Netflix. And I'm excited, dude. Sorry. I'm
excited for One Piece? No. I'm more excited. I'm more excited for the Duffer Brothers.
1 of 100 is not a great fucking batting average.
I'm more excited for the Duffer Brothers Death Note reboot. I think they can finally get that right. Hopefully. So
I can't wait for the Duffer Brothers to pull a Dan and Dave on this last season of Stranger Things. I'm just waiting for Star Wars.
Make it so bad no one will miss it. What was that? I can't hear you.
There's like a lag in his mic. That's weird.
Tips 5 seconds in the past.
Yeah.
He's trapped in a time loop. He
says something on the video, and then we hear him.
I have terrible But anyway, I have to go.
Must be delay, and
now that I know what's going to happen,
you have a terrible conniption.
I haven't read Sandman like book.
You better fucking watch it.
Oh yeah.
Come back next week.
I don't think we spoiled anything you haven't already read. Like, I haven't seen episode 9 or 10. Yeah. I already know what's going to happen, but
he might not have remembered it, but he's definitely knew it at one point.
It's worth the watch.
I mean, me neither, but you're going to remember it pretty easily once you rewatch it. So, I think the season ended with Lucifer. Coming back.
So let's just brush past, like, if that's okay with you guys, like, you should like want to brush past like all the Vortex stuff, like, so like Rosewater's Vortex, right?
Yeah.
I told you
Gilbert's Fiddler's Green.
So like there's a part where like all the people in this Airbnb are dreaming when they're sleepy.
I probably gotta go
because she's the Vortex. She's sucking in everyone's dreams.
Well, it looks a little different.
I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess they're gonna adapt Season of Mists next.
So I would say Lucifer. So there are 2 parts I didn't thoroughly enjoy.
Okay.
Have a great night. Tip,
see you, Tip.
For
Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 things I didn't thoroughly enjoy, and that was the first 10 minutes of Patton Oswalt as Matthew the Raven.
It reminded you too much of MODOK?
No, because there were a couple good episodes of MODOK, right? And like Patton Oswalt, like I love nothing more than nerd representation, right? You fucking take a funny stand-up comedian who is just balls to the wall nerd, and you throw him into my nerd stuff. I'm not gonna be mad about it, right? Like, fucking throw him into Order 66 in the next flashback. Like I beg you, I dare you. Like that'd be great. I don't care about that, but like. Just the dialogue was like awkwardly written, and like his voice wasn't like the right tone in the beginning, but like then like after that he was perfect for like the rest of the season. And then I just didn't like the character design for Lucifer, and like that's just me personally. Didn't think it looked good. The SBDM black leather, the awkward angel wings, and then she's just super British pale white. Right, I just think like you could have spent an extra week, an extra 20 hours. You don't have to be a whole work week. Just playing around with character designs for Lucifer to come out with something a little bit better.
Maybe they'll improve it next season. I really hope, because I think like the 3rd trade of Sandman is like a bunch of like one-shot stories. Yeah, and I really hope they adapt some of those next season, because those are like really like the best part of Sandman is like just seeing Dream show up in different parts of history, and just like interacting with different characters. Yeah, like he goes
and
like ancient Rome
too. So here's my question: is that what you want for a second season, or do you want this as like a season 1.5? Like, would you take this in anime form, like they kind of did with like the Witcher movie that was animated?
I just want everything adapted, like. That's what's like so cool about Sandman.
This in season 2.
The same reason, like I think
some nice dream in season 2.
The same thing, like X-Files was so cool because like there was like a story arc throughout the entire series, but there were also like one-shot like Monster of the Week episodes that had nothing to do with the overall arc, or the overall story, like with the aliens and the government and stuff. So like those are like nice palate cleansers. Like if you weren't able to, if you missed like some of the earlier episodes of the aliens and stuff. So. But yeah, that's what's so cool about like the Sandman. Is like there could be so many one-shot stories throughout history, and but I think they're gonna.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like a mix. They're definitely gonna do Season of Mists next season, and probably like in the middle, like just do some like one-shot anthology stories and tips back. Speaking of anthology stories, we still can't hear you. Go ahead.
I just watched the entire season, and I have to say,
wow, that was quick. The time warp worked out. So, yeah. Has anyone seen a Primal on Adult Swim?
I've watched some of it. Yeah.
Heard it's amazing. What do you think?
I've only seen one episode, and the first episode I saw was the anthology episode that takes place in 1890, and like these British biologists, these Victorian like scientists or aristocrats, are like gathering in this mansion, and it's raining. And they're just talking about like primal man and stuff, and one of them says that like given the right conditions, civilized man will revert back to a primal state, and like one of the guys is like, that's bullshit. But he's just like, we're British like, but apparently
into that episode too.
Apparently an escaped convict gets loose, and like the aristocrats are like running for their lives trying to avoid this this primal inmate who's like more an animal.
How much have you seen? It's supposed to be like from the reviews I've seen online. It's supposed to be like
it won like an Emmy. So
I've watched the one. I've watched the one he's talking about just recently. I've only seen like 2 other episodes.
Yeah. Well, it's the same.
Those were bad.
It's on HBO Max. If you still have that.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max, and there's 2 seasons, I think.
What's with that like timeline?
I don't know. It's like Flintstones. Like there's dinosaurs. There's like Vikings.
It is interesting. It is interesting though. They do just
because if it's like Stone Age, that's like almost like 10,000 years in the past. So like there wouldn't be like Vikings. It's like 10,000 BC.
The other episode I saw was just think of like there's no lines because like they haven't even learned how to speak yet. And
yeah.
Is it Samurai Jack for cavemen?
Yeah, that's actually a good description of
Basically,
Samurai
yeah.
Jack for cavemen.
I looked at the
guy
video,
Samurai Jack.
and I was like, is this Samurai Jack for cavemen?
Yeah, it's the same dude who did Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, is it good?
You definitely see the
Guys,
similarities.
do you
in
fucking
the
remember
style.
being 10 watching Samurai Jack?
Oh, that was such a great
that was
show. But I never saw the ending of it.
Samurai Jack was awesome.
Have you watched it? Let me ask you this first. Have you watched it when you're 30?
No. But dude, I know
I went back and tried to rewatch it, and I was like, why isn't this fucker talking? Is this silent? Oh my god, this whole thing's silent. I can't do this. I was like, I'm sure this is beautiful as I remember it. And I was just out. Like, my ADHD was like, no, fuck that. Like, I need someone talking.
Yeah, maybe you won't like this one because because it's caveman. They don't.
There's no dialogue. Yeah.
But it's new. Yeah. I don't know. You know what? That's a good point because I watched 90 seconds of I Am Groot. Like, dude, I had like my Saturday free. I had like an hour or two. I had like a good
I watched
IPA,
all of them.
And I was like, dude, we're gonna do this. And I watched 90 seconds of it, and he was like fucking fighting like a tree.
The episodes are like 3 minutes long.
I know, dude. I couldn't fucking do it. I was like, I think bashing my head against the wall would be a better use of my time. But I did watch the new Rockstars.
They were pretty funny though.
I watched the new Rockstars breakdown, and it looked like the rest of the episodes were a lot better than the first. So if you...
Was there any like order to them? I didn't see any order.
Nah.
To them when I would...
It wasn't.
I'd rather talk about Primal, but I've only seen
Well, we started talking about.
What else do we have to talk about? What's coming out?
Well, She-Hulk's coming out on Friday, so sadly, I have a strong feeling it won't be as good as Better Call Saul.
So we'll talk about She-Hulk.
It's gotta be better than I Am Groot, I think, maybe.
I Am She-Hulk.
Not looking forward to watching it. Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of want to rewatch Primal, but I don't have. I need to get HBO Max again. I don't think I'm unsubscribed to that. But I guess
if you want to, remind me. This is important for the podcast. Remind me tomorrow, and I'll fucking watch like the first couple episodes. I'll take that bullet for you, and I'll tell you if it's worth watching.
Primal.
Primal, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure it's. I mean, because it's like the same dude who did Samurai Jack and like the amazing animated Clone Wars series that wasn't the 3D one.
Yeah. Which blah 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 blah. Did you know Amazon's about to come out with Lord of the Rings: Ring of Power, and they put like hundreds of millions of dollars in this TV show, and it's probably gonna be fucking garbage, right? So like, people can have as much money or street cred behind that they want to. Like in 2022, right? Like I need to see receipts. There's
people are gonna watch it though.
Filled on streaming, right? Like, if you didn't like Halo, then you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh my god.
Well, it's like the Rings of Power is like so infamous now before it even has come out that everyone's gonna watch it though, which is just what Jeff Bezos wants. Because people are not gonna watch.
Can I tell you? Yeah. For those who don't know, and it's one of my favorite quotes of all time is Jeff Bezos saying, "Bring me Game of Thrones." Like, that's just like, I can just imagine his fucking like bald head like in like a board of directors meeting, and he's fucking pounding his table. And
it's like blinding you, the lights bouncing off it. It's like
of Game of Thrones, and he's like, oh, we have Amazon Prime. Like, yes, I just bought The Expanse, and it's like the greatest sci-fi show ever. But he's like, bring me Game of Thrones, and I fucking love it. Just a CEO demanding you bring me this revolutionary IP content. And then what they did is they went out and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars, on the IP, right? Just buying the fucking name of the television show, basically, from the Tolkien estate. Because, like, the content they have is like the appendix, right, of the Silmarillion or
it's only a few pages, the whole Second Age, I think.
Exactly. And like they're like, oh, what we're doing is we're fleshing out like the Second Age because J.R.R. Tolkien didn't write that much about it. Bitch, what you're doing is creating a new television show with Lord of the Rings characters. They spent like $300+ million to fucking buy a bunch of Elvish names to try to get fucking viewers to fucking watch this TV show.
Basically. Anyway. I don't know. We'll see.
So all I have to say is I fucking applaud Netflix after fucking up so much, so many times, nailing it with Sandman, right? Being faithful to the adaptation, but making what I think are excellent corrections to the source material to adapt to the quote-unquote big screen. Right? I'm not saying there's any problems with the source material. What I'm saying is the changes they made, I really appreciate, and I thought they moved the story along.
They need to bring back Mindhunter for season 3. I know that's definitely
fucking bring back Mindhunter season 3. Damn, that was such a good show.
Yeah, that was great. And I think like the second season in Atlanta, my great aunt actually worked in the Parks and Rec department.
Whatever, bro. 6 seasons in a movie. That's all that fucking matters in my life. 6 seasons.
Well, at least gotta get the actual BTK. They say the actual BTK killer. So, which didn't happen until 2004.
Yeah, on Mindhunter, it'd be nice if they had some resolution to that storyline.
Yeah, so I don't know what season 3 was going to be about. I think, at least they were I think they're probably they were going to interview Ted Bundy and Gacy, because Dahmer would be until the 90s.
The hard cop in Mindhunters is the guy on the top of the building that Batman saves on Batman vs Superman. Or Justice League, one of the two. Yeah, I think it's Justice League. Anyway, fun fact.
Yeah, I'm thinking what crime could they do in the 80s? And I thought maybe they could do the Tylenol killings in Chicago, where a guy took some Tylenol and replaced it with they opened the capsule, poured out the aspirin, put cyanide in, and put it back in the store. And it's the whole reason why product tampering is now a federal crime.
For the listeners who aren't aware of this story, go find yourself a dope 30-minute documentary on YouTube, right, about this. It's a very fascinating story.
Yeah, I think I found about it on I think Biographics. Yeah, it's the guy who does Biographics. I think there's another channel about events or true crime. But yeah, the Biographics guy.
There's a documentary on Hulu, and I'm sure that means there's a documentary on Netflix. But it's very good, very interesting, and they never caught him, and the implications and the ramifications from it are very impactful for modern medicine.
And talk about crisis management, for Tylenol. They still exist after that happened.
Whatever, dude. Johnson & Johnson has caused so much fucking cancer, and they still exist. The power of public companies.
This name recognition. Well, Jack in the Box still exists after the E. coli deaths.
But have you had Jack in the Box? Not
in 10 years.
Dude, it's so fucking good, dude. I rag.
I was about to say. I think that
and I had some, and I was like, oh my god, dude, this is American Taco Bell jizz in my mouth. This is so good.
They have everything. They have tacos. They have burgers. They have chicken nuggets
and E. coli. Apparently, I haven't heard about this.
I'll have the burger. Hold the E. coli.
You sure of that? Anyway, I would like Netflix to order a second season of The Sandman.
And hold the E. coli.
And hold the E. coli.
Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't been announced though yet. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're happy with the reviews. I think the ratings been very good for it. So I'm pretty sure it's all but guaranteed they're going to be second season.
They're basically just fucking waiting on you to finish the season so they can go ahead and greenlight the second.
They need my approval before they.
Yeah, so if you can fucking go ahead and finish those last two or three episodes.
So that's why we haven't gotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is
awesome.
anything else?
So next
Netflix?
week we're going to talk about She-Hulk.
She-Hulk.
Episode 1, season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, because we can't watch them all at once, unfortunately.
That's right. They're not doing any kind of multi-drop or anything like that.
No, maybe the first two, but I'm pretty sure there's it's Disney. They got
whatever dumb shit Disney.
The first taste is free.
We will review it unless it's I Am Groot. In that case,
it'll probably be a very short episode.
We'll have a spin-off podcast and you can talk about it. So. No, there were a couple look.
I think it was 5-minute episodes.
Yeah, it was really small.
Still too long.
Myself.
Well, actually, 2 or 3 of those 5 minutes is credits. So it's a 2 or 3 minute episode.
I'll make myself
James Gunn right
and
there?
If it's good enough,
maybe
we'll talk about episodes 2 through 5 or whatever. I will not talk about episode 1 anymore. I wasted 90 seconds of my life, and I refuse to waste any more.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much.
I want to point out. I have an I Am Groot dance. I have a dancing Groot toy somewhere in my fucking man cave. It's around here somewhere. I paid MSRP from Best Buy. Like, I'm not anti-Groot for the record. I'm just anti-wasting my fucking time.
Hey, that'll be you could sell that for a profit on eBay 10 years from now if eBay still exists. So, but yeah, that's our show pretty much.
Join us next week for She-Hulk. Thank you so much for fucking listening, guys. What you fucking think? Are you like me and you're just super fucking impressed with Sandman? Are you like Forrest and you like Sandman and you love the source material but you haven't fucking finished it yet? Or are you like Robbie who's like, fuck yeah, Sandman, but what are these guys fucking
Better Call Saul's way better.
Yeah, I've been just the TV side of everything.
He's like, I really enjoyed this fucking TV show, but like, what is happening here? Guys, tweet at us at Ziza Podcast on Twitter. You can join our Discord if you want to be a part of the conversation. I will make our editor add the link into the description. It'll be fucking fantastic. Guys, thanks so fucking much. Who is hosting this podcast?
I'm Forrest.
I'm Major.
I'm Robbie.
All right, thanks for listening. We'll see everyone next time.